Hey there, welcome to the MLB DFS build. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the early slate, main slate really, at DraftKings for MLB DFS. It's just the only slate we have. There's just nothing else. We had a big slate yesterday too, early and main for MLB, and today we just have the one tiny 5-gamer get started at noon Central. So going to push out a video now to hopefully help you out. Going to just walk through the matchups here, look at the pitchers and look at the stacks and kind of go over which ones stand out the most. It really is shaping up as a play both sides slate across the board, though I'm not going to lie. If you want my finalized top pitcher picks and stacks that I am rolling with, head over to Patreon, link at the bottom of this video. And it's just $5.99 a month for all of our pitcher picks and stacks, plus our NBA picks, UFL picks, MMA DFS picks. And of course, when NFL rolls around, you'll get access to everything we do there too. And you get into our Discord where you can talk shop and get access to all those plays for one very low fee per month. All right, if this video does help you out, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss out on future videos just like this. If these are beneficial and helpful to you, please throw a bone back our way and do those things. They help us out quite a bit. All right, let's get going here. So first game, Jonathan Cannon taking on the Guardians. I mean, neither side looks particularly great. I will say this. The weather is pretty good for the Guardians and White Sox pitchers. So it's only 44 degrees. The wind is blowing in. There's a little precipitation expected early on. But in general, like the pitching is not very scary here. So you absolutely can look at the offenses. I wouldn't say not scary on both sides. Like Jonathan Cannon is not a guy I'm really afraid of. He does not strike anybody out. He does give up power to the left side of the plate, which is kind of bad news against the Guardians, who have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible lefties to throw his way. So the weather is a bit of a deterrent here. Wind blowing in, very cold. So it favors Cannon. So you definitely can play Cannon at what? 6.8K. I think, though, in this game, I'm certainly leaning the Guardians way. Like if I have to pick a side between Cannon and the Guardians, I think if you look at the weather, you can always play somebody like Cannon because he's probably going to be able to keep the ball in front of him to a certain degree. He's probably going to limit the power here with the weather. But the matchup sets up terribly for him. They have a crap ton of lefties. They do have a little bit of power. There are some strikeouts in their lineup, unlike we've seen in the past with Cleveland. But it's just not a good spot. So definitely favor Cleveland here. And they're going to shape up as one of the better stacks. So, of course, they'll fail because that's what Cleveland always does when they're chalk. I don't know if they're going to be chalk with a Coors game on the slate, though. So if they are going to be overlooked at all because of the cold weather and Coors, that lefty versus righty situation grades out pretty nicely for them. On the other side, Gavin Williams' ownership is not updated yet. I'll update it as I'm going here just to see if we can maybe get an updated look. Talented prospect, definitely has upside, and he's facing the White Sox. So don't really know if I need to go that much further with Kevin Williams because the situation is good for him. And guess what? He is mega chalk because of just those reasons alone. On the year, he's been not great. 8 fantasy points in, I think, both of his games so far. Yeah, against the Royals and Angels. Not exactly the easiest spots to navigate in terms of power, but not getting any whiffs against the Angels is a little bit alarming. So last year, he did flash some K potential. He does walk people a bit, and he does give up some power. The reality here is the weather benefits him, and the White Sox are really, really bad. And he's not even egregiously priced at 8.2K. So if you want to just say, like, oh, man, what pitcher looks the best and is in the best spot, it is Gavin Williams, like 100%. But he's coming at 49% ownership. So while nothing really stands out to make the White Sox look appealing, which, by the way, they come in with a 27.8% K rate here. So, I mean, it's Gavin Williams all the way. But in the name of, Tyler Glasnow or Jacob deGrom, where like it looks so obvious, like you have to play that pitcher. No, you don't, because if half the freaking field is going to be on a dude, you can go away from him and get a massive edge right away. So this is one thing, because there's only 5 games. This is one thing where I don't know that just going underweight on Gavin Williams is the way to do this one. I think if you're going to win on Gavin Williams, not getting there, I think it makes a lot more sense to fire up some White Sox stacks. Like we've said before, though, you don't have to go full stack, particularly on a 5-game slate. You don't have to go 5X or 5-3 because there's only 5 games and you might not hit. There might not be a number one offense that goes completely nuclear like the Brewers did yesterday, right? So, you can do like 3-3, whatever, or 4-4 or something like that. You can roll out 5 bats. I don't know if I would really do that if I'm stacking up the White Sox. I think 3 or 4 White Sox is plenty, and just pick my spots. But yeah, if Gavin Williams is going to be mega owned like he is currently projecting, I do have a lot of interest in Chicago for leverage. That said, if you just want the best pitcher on the board, it is probably going to be Gavin Williams, all things considered. All right, next game, Jose Soriano. Pretty solid option here against the Rays. They do have some strikeouts. The park has turned into a hitter's park for sure. They're not pitching in their normal park, so that's a big reason why. We just don't want to forget that. Like I forgot yesterday before going in, I was like, oh shit, maybe play the Rays because they look good. That was also a little bit on the Halos too. So the Rays hit a grand slam like immediately and then did nothing the rest of the game. And then the Angels came out and hit like 5 home runs. I think that's all they did. They hit 5 home runs. I think they scored 5 runs, one by one, and like one of their dudes hit 2, and then a couple other guys hit a home run. So that was cool if you're on the Halos. A little bit of a tease, but anyways, long story short, it's not really the best spot because number one, it is turning into a hitter's park, and number two, it is 80 degrees there. Warm weather is always good for the bats. So while Soriano is not like the worst pitcher in the world, he does not have an elite K rate. Like I will say this, way bigger sample size last year. K rate was not very, not great. Walk rate against righties, not great. Didn't give up a lot of power. So there's that. This year, extremely small sample size. Just worth noting, 40% K rate against righties so far. On the left side, 15% walk rate, 318 ISO. So if we're going to take anything from this year versus last year, I just think probably Soriano didn't morph into an elite strikeout pitcher immediately, like that quickly. And just like benefiting from the matchups here. But I mean, you could play into it just because the Rays could be a little bit owned here, seeing as it's 80 degrees and one of the best hitting environments of the entire slate. If the Rays are very chalky, I don't have a problem with playing Jose Soriano. But that said, I'm not like super confident in him either. On the other side, we have Zach Littell taking on the Angels. Angels do have a lot of power. Only problem is historically, and this year too, the damage really comes against lefties. Against righties, he is not walking anybody. That's where his best strikeout rate comes from. Last year, 3.7 walk rate against righties. So far this year, facing 30 righties, no walks. 23% K rate last year and this year against righties. Just 15% against lefties, 10% walk rate against lefties so far this year. And he's given up 170 ISO to lefties both last year and this year. So they just don't have any lefties, really. So if you want to take a chance in a warm weather game here in a solid park with a bunch of righty power for the Angels, you can do that, especially since Littell might be owned. It's worth noting that the few lefties they have do not strike out at all. But I just don't think that matters. I think he's going to face a lot of righties, which he's really good at. So I think Zach Littell looks really pretty good here. So I will be interested in him a lot. The only issue is where's his ownership at? 22%. Honestly, after Gavin Williams, the SP2 is spread out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with over 20% ownership. And that's kind of how I would play it. Like for the most part, yeah, I'm firing up Gavin Williams, certainly hedging and getting some White Sox stacks. But like Gavin Williams is the best play on the board. And then really just kind of casting a wide net at SP2 because it's gross out there. That said, Zach Littell is shaping up as my favorite SP2 just because the Angels don't have anybody to take advantage of that matchup. All right, Bailey Ober, good pitcher in real life, pretty good strikeout rate last year, but he did give up some power, did not walk anybody that much. This year has been a different story. Really bad in his first game, negative 10 fantasy points, bounced back last time with 14 fantasy points. Problem is the Royals are good. They have power and they do not strike out. So I think because the slate is small at 5 games and because because Ober does have upside, I think Ober is certainly in play. He is what? He is 7.7K. So that's a nice discounted price. So he is definitely up there with Littell as one of the top SP2s to play here. And if you don't like Gavin Williams, I mean, we do have other like decent options, and one of them is Ober. Do I feel amazing about his chances of coming in and shutting down a very dangerous KC offense? Not really, but relative to the slate, Ober is in play. The Royals, like I said, they have a lot of power. They don't strike out. They're going to get on base. So I don't mind stacking up the Royals. I just think like because of the slate size and everything, I think I slightly lean Ober's way. Michael Wacha, not really a guy to be afraid of. He's a bit of a graybeard here, not a really good K rate. He'll give up a little bit of power to the left side. So I love to stack lefty Twins against right-handed pitchers who give up contact and don't really miss bats, which is big because they do strike out. But they got Matt Wallner, Trevor Larnach. They have Edouard Julien. They have tons of guys here from the left side. They do have righties to mix in there. Willie Castro can hit from the left side. So I like the Twins. Waka, it can certainly get there. He can grind out some innings. He is only 7K, and it is a pitcher-friendly park. But he has not been like super scary this year and in general because he is aging rapidly. So Twins lefties, fire up some Twin stacks. I don't have a problem with them whatsoever. Let me get a little bit of this coffee to re-energize. That is good. All right. Coors. Yesterday was a demolition. 17-2. Brewers beat the Rockies. I tried to play the Rockies side of the game. Luckily, I had enough Brewers to cash. Even had a takedown in the nickel on FanDuel. Yay! Quinn Priester taking on the Rockies here. I do like the Rockies instead of Quinn Priester. The numbers just don't look good for him, and he's in Coors. The only benefit at all for Priester is that he's cheap. Rockies do have a collective 28.5% whiff rate too. So those two things combine to make Priester playable, but especially on a 5-game slate where like not a lot of pitching stands out. And if you're going to go away from Gavin Williams or something, you have to do something different. So because of those reasons, I think Priester is in play, but I think I would just go Rockies here for sure. If Priester's going to carry any ownership right now, not much. But if that were to change or anything, I would be even more interested in the Rockies. Most of the damage comes from the left side. They got a decent amount of lefties they can throw at them, starting obviously with Ryan McMahon. They do have good power from the left side of the plate and collective power in general, plus it's Coors. And the weather is not bad, 67 degrees. So not super interested in Priester. Definitely interested in Rockies, especially if people are going to sour on them because of, getting absolutely destroyed yesterday. On the other side, Ryan Feltner against the Brewers. Numbers do not grade out very well for him. He has a tough time against lefties. Low strikeout rate, power. That's where he gives up more walks. Not good. Plus he's in Coors, and the Brewers are kind of good. So Brewers can get walks. They strike out a little bit, but they have a lot of power from the left side of the plate in particular. They have a bunch of lefties to throw at them. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to say that the Brewers look good again. The only thing is I would – they're going to be really, really owned. Like yesterday, they were owned on a bigger slate. It's only a 5-game slate. It's just everybody's going to go play Brewers. So at the risk of fading an offense that's going to put up 10 runs again, I am going to go underweight just because it's immediate leverage. I think it might be a little bit risky to go underweight on both Gavin Williams and the Brewers, but I don't really mind doing that. I think that's certainly one way to approach the slate that would immediately give you an ownership advantage. Like if the Brewers come out and score 2 runs, and Gavin Williams gets like 10 fancy points, you are made in the rain, and you just need to hope your stack is decent, and then you're going to be cashing, and then from there, who knows? All right, last game in Fenway here. Jays against the Red Sox. This game is not a hitter's paradise because it is cold. Let me check what the actual weather is. 49 degrees, wind blowing in. So it is Fenway. 2 capable offenses with power. They can always go off. I will say this. Chris Bassett, good real-life pitcher. Last year, though, and traditionally does not do great against lefties. 19% K rate against lefties, not great. 11% walk rate against lefties, bad. 180 ISO against lefties, not horrible, but not good. And the Red Sox have a shit ton of lefties. Jarren Duran, Rafael Devers, Tristan Casas. Like they have so many guys here. Look at all that green. Obviously they benefit from the park, but they just have a ton of lefties to throw at him. It's not a matchup that's very favorable for him. I will say though, he has been good relative to the slate. He's a pretty good option, and he's been crushing in terms of strikeouts early on this year. But once again, even in a small sample size this year, 179 ISO lefties. So if the Red Sox can get that ball in the air, they have a chance here. So I do think because the park factor, and if people pay attention to the splits, the Red Sox might end up being a little bit popular. So because of the ownership and the weather, we can consider going underweight if that ends up being the case. That said, Red Sox lefties forever look good. Walker Buehler, last pitcher to look at here against the Jays. I do not like Buehler at all. It is a good situation in terms of weather only, cold and wind blowing in, he has been bad. He's been bad this year. He's been bad last year. Low strikeout rate, a lot of hard contact he's giving up. Not something you really want to be doing in a place like Fenway. If you ignore the weather, it's a very bad spot for Buehler. So I'm not really interested in him. He hasn't been good this year. I don't know if he's going to – I just don't know. He might just be completely done. The Jays are not like super exciting because they don't have like a ton of lefty power to get excited about, and that's really what you want in this park. But they do overall have good power. They don't strike out at all. So that's a bad combo for Buehler, even in a positive weather environment. So I do like the Jays a little bit for sure. A lot of it, honestly. I like the weather situation, and like the overall splits on their end aren't super exciting, but I love the walk rate and the matchup in general. All right, that is going to do me for the game-by-game breakdown. Hopefully just that alone helps you out. If it does, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Both of those are nice thank yous to me to let me know that what I'm doing is helpful. Also, though, if you want my finalized top pitcher plays and stacks of the slate, head over to Patreon, $5.99 a month to get access. That's just MLB alone. Plus, you get everything else we have to offer and our live chat Discord, all for just that one low monthly price. All right, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for an NBA video later in the day, and good luck.